Well, welcome everyone. We are here to celebrate a construction milestone at Washington Park. We are at the completion of the 12.4 million gallon reservoir that will provide water to the side of Portland. And since planning began way back in 2010, we've had an amazing team of engineers, construction workers, community outreach folks, the community themselves working on this project. And the project has spanned over a decade with many different leaders and directors at the helm. For me, my involvement with this project started in my first very week at the Bureau in 2015. That was when we took the expanded version of this project to council, and I got to see firsthand the amazing work of public involvement professionals, our financial whizzes, and our engineering phenoms. We have a few of them on this call, like Mike Storr, walk us and the council through the marvel that Washington Park would be. It was also among my very first meetings with Commissioner Fish, who orchestrated the presentation. And if you've ever worked with him, he did so with grace, precision, humor, warmth. It was an amazing and inspiring event, as all council meetings maybe should be. And it showed me that I was among the giants in the field and exactly where I wanted to be. So it was a pretty great first week. One thing, though, that we all have in common is that we have a shared vision of having our water be that the community loves and is safe and abundant for generations to come. And speaking of engineering phenoms, as I was, we've invited one of our own to speak today, and I would like to turn it over to Mike.
I had to concentrate to remember to unmute myself. It's really great to see everybody. It would be true to say I miss all of you. Some days I don't miss the work so much, but the people are awesome. I was a chief engineer from 2005 to whenever it was I became the director. I lose track of the years. They don't matter so much anymore. And during that period, the Bureau and the city became very concerned with resilience in a certain particular earthquake called the Cascade Subduction Zone earthquake. And we began in 2005 doing smaller things to get ready for that earthquake. Washington Park is one of several big projects that have seismic and resilience implications. And I've got to say, I know I get a lot of credit for this, but people with chief in their name or director in their name actually do very little. Mostly a nudge here or a nudge there and talking to council. The real work of the Reservoir projects was done by Teresa Elliott and Dan Hoffman and Stan Vandenberg and many folks who have retired and a bunch more who are still working. So this project to me is really a celebration of Teresa's work. She has done a great job. Why is this so important? It's important for resilience. It's important for water quality. I've led a team that went down to New Orleans a long time ago. What was that? 2005, right? In 2005, and the city was in very poor shape because they didn't have the funds to properly operate and maintain the system. We have had that. Often in many of these projects, so many people that you thank for doing a stellar job. Certainly the Bureau staff. We're blessed with a great contractor. I couldn't say this before, but I can say this now since I don't work for the city anymore, but Hoffman's my favorite contractor. They do a stellar job. They are definitely a team player. But there were lots of other people, architects, engineers, that worked on this. Cornforth, our really, really fine geotechnical consultant. And there are some more that usually don't get recognized at these events, so I'm going to do it here. And first is City Council. The Bureau has really been blessed with the support of City Council in all of our resilience efforts. And without City Council voting yes, there is no money and there is no project. Over the course of the construction of the Washington Park project, we've had the support of two commissioners in particular, Commissioner Fish and Commissioner Fritz. And they both made this project better by basically tasking the Bureau and making sure we did things that needed to be done. We also had great cooperation from the neighborhood. That is a rare thing in Portland, I can tell you. The neighborhood has been great to work with, and our public involvement communications staff and our contractor for communications have done a great job. There is no doubt that building these big projects in a city is a huge impact on the neighborhood, and there's just no way around that. All you can do is work with them the best you can, and I think that our neighborhood was a great partner. Two other groups I'll mention, and then I'll shut up and let Gabe get on with this. This project had challenges, and I won't go into those here, but they definitely had challenges. And without the support of procurement and the city attorney's office, particularly Karen Moynihan and Molly Washington, who now works for a private firm, things would have been more difficult than they were. So all in all, I think this has been a very, very good project. It's very important to the city from a resilience point of view and also from a water quality point of view. And it was basically my privilege to make sure we had the money to do it. But really, Teresa and all the rest of the gang got the job done. So it'll be great to see in a couple, 3 years when they finally get around to putting the reflecting pool on top. Thanks a bunch, and Gabe, thanks for inviting me.
Well, thanks, Mike. Thanks for briefly stepping out of retirement to join us today. It is really good to see you. And right now, I'd like to turn us over to a special video that we have created as a reminder of all of the work that has gotten us to where we are today. So let's play the video.
Hi, I'm Teresa Elliott, Chief Engineer with the Portland Water Bureau. Welcome to the Washington Park Reservoir Improvements virtual tour. We are in the process of replacing a 100-year-old facility. It was built in 1894.
Hi, my name is Stan Vanderberg, and my role in the project is the Program Manager for the Washington Park Reservoir Improvement Project. What you'll see is the first phase of construction, which is the installation of what we call TB1, which is Tieback Wall 1.
So down in Reservoir 4, we're cement treating with Porter, Yett, and Kaufman. So what's happening is all the spoils that were excavated out of Reservoir 3 make their way down to Reservoir 4 and are spread out and are cement treated and tilled and compacted.
I'm very excited about the public access because it's going to be something where we can walk around it and we can see the reflecting pools and have access, which in the past it was enclosed and you couldn't really get very close to it. You almost couldn't see it. And this keeps intact the historic aspects of the reservoir and yet it makes it a beautiful destination place for people. And oh, by the way, we'll have a good water supply for the city. It's a really interesting project, and seeing what they're doing and knowing it's historic. I mean, it's a once-in-a-lifetime kind of project.
So the Nelson studs that are being installed on the TB2 wall consist of a 9 3/4 inch rod, steel rod, and a little head that's about 3/4 of an inch. And these rods, these Nelson studs, are welded off to the TB2 pile that you see here. And they're installed at 6.5 inches on center, 10 inches apart from one another.
Being a neighbor of such a big project, I expected it to be a major inconvenience a lot of the time. I expected there to be lots and lots of trucks coming through. I've not noticed that to be the case at all. All in all, it's been a bonus because my toddler loves to watch the dump trucks go up and down the hill.
So the first part of it is the mega shore or high shore, or it's affectionately known as the dance floor. It's a temporary work platform that will build off of that to build up using what's called frame fast or sky deck. It has many names itself, but that'll create the working platform that the iron workers will then go out and put the rebar in the formwork, and then we'll pour on top of that. So after leak testing, which is a very involved process, we go into the disinfection of the yard piping and then ultimately the disinfection of the interior of the reservoir. And once all those have passed with good back-T tests, we will be moving into the filling the tank for service, which is obviously the purpose of the whole thing. So it's on the horizon and it's very exciting.
Well, that was pretty amazing. I have gotten to see a lot of that, but seeing it in that compressed time schedule is just really gives you an idea of the massive amount of work that's been done and what's still to come. So amazing job with the video and with the project. And now I would like to invite Commissioner Fritz to say a few words. But first, if you have a teacup maybe available to you or some other mug, I just thought that we could enjoy a spot of tea made with the Bull Run water that Commissioner Fritz that you have helped protect for all Portlanders. So a toast to Commissioner Fritz and her leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for the teacup. It's a nice mixture of Yorkshire tea and Bull Run water, all celebrating the Washington Park Reservoir. So Director Sturr talked about the history of this project going back. And as I draw to the close of my time on the council, I realized that commissioners bring their previous experience to council and focus on things that have always mattered to them. Commissioner Leonard was a firefighter, so he understood how essential water is and how essential resiliency is. Commissioner Fish was a lawyer, and he knows that we were required to do this project and that getting it done on time was really important. And I'm a former nurse, so I understand. I care about public health and I care about safe drinking water. It's the most basic service that we provide as a city. And so it's been an honor to work with my colleagues and with the folks in the Bureau who have done such an amazing job on this project. And I appreciate, especially this year when things have been so challenging, the safety of the project and the way that it's been respectful to the neighborhood. Because both Commissioner Fish and I greatly value community engagement and we always want to be good neighbors. So thank you everybody for all of your work. And I will now turn it over to Jody Inman, the Water Bureau's engineering manager.
Thank you, Commissioner Fritz. And on behalf of our Bureau, thank you for your leadership and your investment in our water system. I'm speaking today on behalf of our esteemed Chief Engineer, Teresa Elliott. Our water system's strength lies in the skills, ability, and creativity employees, consultants, and contractors bring to work every day. On this project, we've worked hard, we've worked safely, and we've adapted. We've also successfully exceeded our goal of minority and female apprenticeship and journeyman participation. We couldn't have done this without such great partners. I noticed several folks from Parks and Rec and Explore Washington Park here today, and I want to thank them for their partnership on this project. I know it was hard to imagine how a huge project like this would fit in the middle of one of the city's most treasured parks, and we have appreciated your consultation and support all along the way. And speaking of great partners, this project would not have happened without Hoffman Construction. We recognize the power of this relationship where they've been a true partner all along. They have held all workers to the highest safety standards, even with the curveball of a pandemic that challenged us all. I'll turn it over to Carrie, Operations Manager at Hoffman Construction.
Thanks, Jody. Can you all hear me okay? Okay. Well, this project has been an invigorating challenge. You know, we've been working on this site. I think we mobilized to demo the Weir building back in 2016, September 12th, as I recall. And prior to that, Teresa and I and the Water Bureau staff, Jerry Moore, have been reaching out to our partners, the neighborhood, for 2 years prior to that. And I think communication and the collaboration with the Water Bureau and the city as a whole and the neighbors made this project successful to the point we are today. And we thank you very much for allowing us to run over 5,000 trucks of concrete through the neighborhood with very, very little incidents, no safety issues, and very little complaints. You know, speaking of that, our crew since the March onset of the pandemic never left the site, and they never missed a concrete pour to successfully bring us to where we are today. I think our last pour for what we call the fly hole lids, or to get the shoring out of the reservoir lid, is coming up mid-December, and then you'll see the tower crane 2, which remains, coming down mid-January. So the partnerships between the city and the local businesses, the Goose Hollow Business District, and the Water Bureau have been, and Explore Washington Park, you know, ongoing meetings, which we enjoy continuing that relationship with that team, have been the success to this project. And so we're very thankful to have partners like you, community partners, business partners. And I think Richard is going to share a little bit more about our ongoing neighborhood meetings that we've had. So again, thank you very much. And Jody, thank you for the kind comments. And Mike, especially thank you for saying the nice words of Hoffman.
And let's turn it over to one of those neighbors who has been with this project through the whole time, Richard Turner.
Good morning. I wrote everything down, so I'm going to read what I wrote, because if I try to be extraneous, I'm going to screw it all up. So, good morning. My name is Richard Turner. I'm the neighborhood representative to the Water Bureau and Hoffman Construction on the Washington Park project. I'd like to give you a quick little bit of my history. I first saw the diagrams of what the park was going to look like in front of Trader Joe's. And as a whole, it was like, okay, they're screwing with our reservoir again. I was not a happy camper. I've also gone through the construction of the Japanese garden, which is right on the outside of my window, the new building with lights and trucks. So having a giant construction project in my backyard was really not something I was looking forward to. Then we had a meeting with Water, Hoffman, Peabot, and to everybody, the explanation, the plan that was presented to us was superb. And it's followed the plan. The presentation, everything. We all knew there were going to be bumps, inconveniences when we had to go through the park the wrong way on the twisty road, the dump trucks, the noise. But it was all done in such a way that life went on. We had a great time, and watching this project develop and seeing that tank being built and getting to talk to Katie and Hoffman and see when the crane had a camera on it that you could look down when they were working. I mean, folks, this is unbelievable. I mean, from a neighborhood perspective, one fabulous job. So I want to thank Water, Hoffman, Peabot, and everybody out there for an incredibly well done job. And I am so looking forward to the day that I can walk on that park and know that I am standing on somewhere over 300 million pounds of steel, concrete, water, and soil. Thanks everybody for a great job, and fabulous water for centuries into the future.
Thank you so much, Richard. Thank you for those kind words. And we have partnerships within the city, with the people doing the work, with our community. And if we didn't have this community buy-in, we wouldn't have the system that we have today. So thank you. And we're so glad to have Hoffman and our Arlington Heights neighbors with us as we head into the next phase of this project. And next, I just want to introduce you all to Patricia Schechter and Maria Fish. They may not be names that you are familiar with, but they have also lived with this project for a very long time, since the beginning. Patricia is the wife of the late Commissioner Fish, and Maria is his daughter. And I hope that the work on the reservoir has done Commissioner Fish proud. He leaves on Washington Park, as he does the entire city. And in addition to this public recognition, Patricia and Maria, we wanted to present to you a framed photograph of the watershed that Commissioner Fish loved and helped to protect. And because of his dedication, Portlanders present and future will continue to have safe drinking water every minute of every day. And I think you can see the picture here, and it is displayed behind Patricia. Patricia, if you want to say a few words, it would be wonderful.
Thank you, Gabe, and good morning, everyone. I don't know if you can see how you, okay, there, that's a little better. Thank you. I don't know if you could see it, but Katie was kind enough to come by Friday, and let me see if I can do this. And here it is, right in our house with a beautiful ribbon. I love the iridescent ribbon on the picture, and it's beautiful. We will treasure it. I just want to say congratulations to everyone who worked on this project. I certainly remember when it began, and I share the view of my neighbors. I'm in Goose Hollow, and you know, it's been a presence, but you know, a sort of very manageable presence. And I especially remember in the depths of last winter, after losing Nick and then the lockdown, I remember the stillness of our neighborhood here. I'm sure most folks have a similar, perhaps, memory. And the sort of holding of breath of that time was quite unforgettable. Although, interestingly, in our little intersection here at Vista and Park, at 7 p.m., everyone would come out and bang pots and pans like clockwork to salute our healthcare workers. And I vigorously participated in that till they stopped. The leaders were kitty corner for me, an older couple. They were like total neighborhood folks and fabulous. Anyway, but to the point of the reservoir, I'll never forget when the cranes and the machinery and the people woke up and started moving around over there. The testimony of the engineers was they never missed a pour. And, you know, maybe I missed something, but for me, I have a real visceral moment in my mind of when things started moving and lights started flashing and gears started grinding over there. And I remember appreciating the commitment that took to kind of be sort of out front. I think construction was sort of out front in terms of coming off lockdown. And it was very encouraging when I was, like so many of us, were looking for little moments of encouragement that things would go forward, that the city would promises and obligations and aspirations for all its citizens. So I thank you for that little moment when we really needed, or I'll speak for myself, I really needed to see a little waking up, a little getting in gear again. And so we are still very much torn by losing Nick. We're still in a state of wounding, of very much unhealed still. But these gestures by people in the community, especially with the city, who remember Nick with such affection and esteem, go an enormous long way to help us begin to see past our own hurt and toward the healing work that you all do every day to keep our community whole. So thank you for remembering Nick. Thank you for lifting up his name and for inviting Maria and me. I hope our son is in online school right now. And I think Maria actually had to peel off for class as well. But it's an honor to be with you today. And just I salute Commissioner Fritz, wrapping up an incredible career, and to all of you who are at the beginning, middle, or end of your journeys with the city. I wish you all the best for a holiday season of health and peace and continued good work for the common good, as you say on your beautiful picture for Nick's memory. Thank you. Thank you very much for including me today.
Well, thank you so much. And it is wonderful to have you here. It means a lot for you to be here with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
And,
Sure.
you know, a milestone event wouldn't be complete without a plaque. You've got to have a plaque. So in lieu of us all being able to see it and celebrate in person, as I know we would all want to, we've prepared a commemorative plaque. You can see that. Thanks, Hannah, for showing that. It does weigh 100 pounds, which is why I am not displaying it. It is protected in storage at the work site right now. We don't want it damaged while we continue the work at the reservoir, but we will permanently install it as part of our finishing work a few years from now. And as you all know, it goes without saying that Washington Park is an important investment in our system and our city's future. And now that we've completed the container, the reservoir, there's still a little bit more work to be done before we arrive at the park that everyone can enjoy and that Richard can stand on top of. So next week, we will begin filling the reservoir with water and performing a leak test of the new structure. That's a process that'll be complete in the first half of 2021. And that's when we'll begin serving water from the reservoir, which is pretty exciting. Once the reservoir is in service, there's a little more earthwork that we need to complete on site so that we can take a 2-year pause on the construction and let the soil surrounding the reservoir settle. And all of our engineers know this much better than even I, but as you might remember, we've added a substantial amount of weight to the toe of the landslide on the west side of the reservoir site to slow its advance and to limit any movement in the event of an earthquake, like Mike talked about. So the soil around the reservoir will settle over time. Even the reservoir, which has a deep foundation system, will stay firmly rooted in place and not settle at all. And then after the soil surrounding the reservoir settles, we'll construct beautiful reflecting pools, promenades, public interpretive elements, and leave Washington Park better and more publicly accessible than ever before. So let's have another toast to the entire team, to all of you who have worked together to make this key milestone a reality. There are a lot of people, a lot of us who have contributed to this project. So I'm not going to read everyone's name out loud. I will just say thank you so much for attending today, and thank you so much for all of your work in a decade in the making to bring us to where we are. Cheers.